The clips in this video are used in conjunction with fair use and are not a copyright violation. So in response to a poll that I had recently on my channel, people would like to learn more about Terrence Howard's awkward trip to Uganda. Didn't get very many votes on it, but I did find a video that is kind of a gem because I don't think anyone, it has 630 views, and it was uploaded a year ago, maybe even longer. And it's when Terrence Howard went to Uganda, and it's pretty insane. It's from an actual channel, Destination Uganda. Like, I think it's like a legitimate news channel in Uganda, covering when Terrence Howard was there. And this is not edited footage, and I'm going to, of course, comment over it. And let's see what's happening here.
I'm wonderful. It's been great. I mean, we started the day this morning on a chimp trek. I didn't know how much I would gain from it until I got there. I was happy to see there's a lot of people that are, I guess this is the high season, but there was so many people wanting to come and see the chimps. I appreciated seeing that and the preservation of them. But then I saw that there were groups of like 20 walking, and the chimps, the only time they move like that is if they're moving on, it's some stressful situation. So they see 20, 30 people gathering around them and pulling up these little things. I mean, they've got to think that they're under attack to some degree. It's that fishbowl kind of thing. I was wishing that they would limit it to like 6 people at a given time so they don't get frightened, but loved everything about that. Yeah.
This is it seems like satire, doesn't it? Like the whole, it's like I'm watching an episode of The Office or Parks and Rec. It's like a mockumentary style, but the thing is, it's not. It's an actual documentary. It's not mock at all, and it's so strange. He seems very uncomfortable at times.
Yes, first time and last time. I think they need their own space. I think.
He's literally like, we went to go see the chimps. Yeah, the first time doing that, and definitely the last time I'll ever do that ever again. I think they should be in their own space. By the way, have you noticed this? I love this little moniker they give him, Terrence Howard, American movie star. And again, we're watching this it's an actual stream from July of 2022 of Terrence Howard visiting the nation of Uganda.
I think we need more space for them. That was one of the main reasons of me coming here. I came here as a minister of the Church of Truth, Love, and Consciousness.
He came here. I came here as a minister of the Church of Truth and Universal Love and tax evasion. Of course, yes.
And an attempt to try and gain a better understanding of myself from my roots, but also the needs of those that are from my nature, that look like my family, those that look like people that I've seen in my past, but I've been separated from. And to set up education centers, to set up spiritual centers, to learn the truth.
To set up education centers. Notice he didn't say schools. He did not say schools. And he said education centers and spiritual centers, which sounds more like a church. Again, as him as representative of the Church of Truth and Universal Light and whatever it is, he's setting up churches so he can avoid paying taxes and all that, and allegedly. So it's really, it begs the question, like, what is exactly a spiritual center? What is an education center? It sounds sort of like re-education camps, something kind of cult-like. so they can learn the universal knowledge of the secret behind what 1 times 1 equals.
The unadulterated truth. Well, I mean, we have stories that we're told as children. There comes a point when you learn the truth about Santa Claus, and it's a painful truth.
Yeah, I hope no kids are watching this. This is horrible. I mean, did I ever tell the story? I used to teach logic, and it was in the summertime. It was this program they had at university, and I was teaching. They were sixth growing into seventh grade. They were like 11, 12 years old in the summertime, and I taught a course in logic, which Terrence Howard could really use, by the way. Just a solid course in symbolic mathematical logic and how to actually prove things. And one of the examples in the text that I was using was something about Santa Claus, and it was like Santa is jolly. And I was like, okay, well, we can use this truth value of true for that. And I was kind of talking to the class, and I was like, even though we all know that Santa Claus is not real, and I heard an audible gasp, like it was I ruined Santa Claus for a number of young children, and that must have been traumatic for them. Um, so sorry if anyone's watching. There's no Santa Claus. I'm not going to get into the other. Not going to touch any of the other fictional characters out there, but anyway, his example with Santa Claus, it's weird on a number of levels. Um, I think there might be some past trauma with him and Santa Claus because of something called the Santa lion slaying, which I actually made a short video about as well. But yeah, let's see where this goes exactly. So he just ruined Santa Claus for everyone. What's next?
It wrecks a whole lot of traditions. But from it, you take on the responsibility of being the Santa Claus and bringing the gifts and making miracles happen when you let go of the idea
Oh
someone
wait,
else will. So
making miracles happen? That's not Santa Claus, isn't that Jesus? Or other I don't know, saints or prophets. Who makes miracles happen? I don't think there's any story I've ever heard where Santa Claus is the one making miracles happen.
a lot of those things have to come into understanding. And I was so grateful, to be invited here by the head of state because
Hmm.
even in
I think at this point in time, I think the head of state there was in. He was kind of on this thing where he was inviting a lot of celebrities and especially American celebrities that had a lot of money or net worth, wealth. I think Akon went over there and promised this brand new city, and there's a whole rabbit hole when it comes to that. But yeah, they did invite him there, and they obviously are treating him like visiting dignitary, like he's an ambassador or some sort of like government official representative of the United States going to Uganda because they got him like a private plane and everything, and I mean, look at him. He's wearing like lavish robes and like a bunch of chains, and he meets up with a king at some point in this. They really treat him like he's a diplomat. So he used to masquerade as a physicist. Now he's into masquerading as a diplomat.
my own country, here I am, an actor, right? Nominated for
Obviously.
Oscars, for Academy, for all kind of awards. Every
That was only one award, by the way. He said nominated for Oscars, for Academy Award. That's the same award, just so we're clear. The Academy Awards, but they give you an Oscars, the Oscars. And not he never won an Oscar. He was just nominated. Just want to make that clear.
possible kind of award, right? That I would think. Here I've invented a new form of flight and unlimited bombing. I couldn't understand how my own country didn't grab a hold to it or gravitate to it
Mm.
immediately. I can understand how there was no press about it. I initially talked about this as
But he can't understand why anyone in his own country wouldn't take his physics stuff seriously. And by the way, if you're gonna compare, things that I've covered with Terrence Howard in the past, Oxford University is actually not in the United States, it's in the UK. And so he's also talking about how the United he's really talking trash about the United States right here. In my opinion, that's how I kind of see it with this attitude. He's like, well, the United States didn't want to take me seriously, and nobody over there. I couldn't imagine why they wouldn't take my lynchpin bonding 1 × 1 = 2 stuff seriously. Couldn't imagine. So I guess he's saying he basically laughed out of the scientific community, which makes perfect sense because he doesn't know what he's talking about. But it's odd that he would go to a different country, almost serving like pretending like he's a diplomat, representing the United States, and then go there and talk shit about the United States, saying, "Hey, this country, they didn't believe me, so here I am in Uganda, the land of, you know, my people." Whatever he says, he's playing into it, and like people have criticized me for calling him a scam artist in the past or a con man. I mean, this whole thing is basically a con on the entire country of Uganda. Like he's now not just lying to students, he's lying to heads of state. So let's see.
I discovered the grand unified field equation. That's what I talked about it as. This is the grand unified field equation in geometry, put into geometry. And look at the things we've been able to do from it. Not
What things have you been able to do from it exactly? What accomplishment? What discoveries? What evidence? What is there one thing that has come from your theories? One application of your theories or your the stuff that you talk about in your book. Um, what have you accomplished? You talk about this unlimited bonding thing. You vaguely mention hydrogen and protons. By the way, other elements also have protons, but hydrogen and I mean this gets weird. This is just the beginning, but this starts to get really weird.
not a peep. Not a peep. I couldn't understand how and why. So when I was invited,
He could not understand why scientists would not believe him because he had absolutely no evidence and not even a consistent theory. The theory itself actually had so many contradictions that it wasn't even a theory. He offered proof that I don't know cited. It didn't cite anything. It was something about how we have this universal law of common sense. He says, according to the laws of common sense, there's not an established law of common sense. That's not a real thing. If you've ever studied logic, which again I've taught to 6th and 7th graders, if you've ever studied logic, you would know that you know some of the things that you're saying don't make any logical sense. There's no flow related to actual propositional or predicate logic or anything that's required of axiomatic theories in science and mathematics.
when I was invited to come and share some of my discoveries here,
Discoveries.
that's being honored. That's
Yeah,
being appreciated.
that's what he's looking for. At the end of the day, he's looking for recognition and honor, and he wants people to, put a sash or him, give him a trophy or whatever it is, even though he's not put any of the legwork in, and he doesn't have any discoveries. I don't know what kind of discoveries he's talking about. His book and everything are all just nonsense, word salad kind of stuff that he mixes little equations into, and they make no sense. And it's just, but here he is in Uganda trying to sell them on his theories, and he can't understand. He cannot understand why nobody in the United States just completely picked up on this. I discovered the grand unified field theory. No, you did not. You discovered nothing.
And I hope that the innovations and discoveries I've made will be able to benefit the people of Uganda because they'll have the tech ability and the know-how to approach all new problems, any old problem with new ideas. The ceiling is being taken off of us with a new understanding. That's the fruit I want to share and invest in here. So we've got some really, really big plans. We're going to have to set up a training facility for individuals.
Oh, now it's a training facility. First, it was what? Education centers and spirit. What did he say? Spiritual centers? Training facilities. He wants to train. So he wants to basically take over the entire economic landscape of Uganda, using things things like 1 times 1 equals 2, and his new theory of how banking should work and whatever that is. By the way, I think there was a thing where Uganda had kind of just come across a bunch of gold. Like there was a gold mine or something that was discovered recently, I think, right before this happened, or before they started inviting, lots of celebrities over there. And I think it was worth something like 12 trillion USD, something ridiculous. And I think that, men like Terrence Howard here are trying to basically tap into that and saying, hey, y'all have the money. Let me set up these schools and religious centers, and let me get some cheap overseas labor, um, and send all the jobs over to Uganda from this humongous innovative project, which is really just a bunch of BS. Because if you've seen his, by the way, if you look at his drone thing, his lynchpins, I got that up too. Um, he had a drone design contest. That's a whole other rabbit hole. And so is this. But this is basically his little design right here. You can see his 3D model that's slightly rotating. It's basically like 6 pentagons put together, and it's sort of like an inverted or a turned inside out, like dodecahedron, if I'm not mistaken. And then he's like, we had a contest where he was like, okay, you got to design a drone that has all this different stuff, and if you look, it's like a fan blades and motors and stuff everywhere, and it's supposed to fly like in all directions. And that's a whole other story, but he did not come up with the design, the hardware or the software that actually makes these drones fly. There were a few people that were able to do it, and by the way, they all commented that it was very expensive and basically impossible to replicate on a large scale because it's such a ridiculous design, and it's completely not aerodynamic. Which, when you're designing a drone, one of the first things you do is like, how do we make this aerodynamic? So they had to work really hard to like go against you know basic physics to build this ridiculous design for Terrence Howard. And then he underpaid them. He gave them almost no recognition, and then he like patented or copyrighted all the drone stuff so that they couldn't use it ever again and have their name attached to it at all. And so now he says he invented a new form of flight, and people believe it, and it's ridiculous.
To learn about these things immediately. That's the first thing. Yes, it's a new form of flight, and for individuals to learn how to build them. We have printers, but that's one thing. But having the men and women of Uganda build these, having them as engineers, developing flight systems with it, developing.
So he wants their labor. He wants the labor of the country of Uganda. I wonder why he would want the labor of a country like that as opposed to trying to get labor from the United States. Hmm, that's a tough one.
Um, Graphics with it. It's now time to put Uganda to its task. the smartest and most beautiful people on the planet. It's the pearl of Africa. Let it shine now. So that's what I want to do here. And that's what
Pandering,
we're
pandering.
doing here. So by the end of a year's time, even less than that, we will have the facilities. As soon as ICT is able to open their facilities, we will be starting the training process and asking for resumes. We're building a website now to have the
Ooh, a
Ugandans,
website.
and all they need is at least 1 year of
Didn't
university
Akon do that too?
and have an appetite towards engineering. And we'll need people from all
Just 1 year of university and have an appetite toward engineering. That's all you need is an appetite toward engineering. That's what Terrence Howard has. And look at all the things he's accomplished. Nothing.
walks of life, but it's
Let me correct myself. Nothing in the field of math or science or engineering. He has done a lot with acting, and so good on him for that.
building something as a minister.
He's doing a great job acting here, by the way. Oh man, I think I reset it. Uh, anyway, this is going on kind of long. Let's divide this into parts, I guess. That's Terrence Howard in Uganda, part one.